Machine learning in Arc Raiders is probably the most misunderstood aspect of the game. A lot of people on the internet seem to think that the Arc bots in the game are actually actively adapting new behavior patterns through upgrading their model from their encounters with players. There simply isn't any indication that this would be true. Even if Embark had implemented this kind of system in the game, they haven't told anyone about it. So why are people confused? I think it is because of the term machine learning, which is a concept in AI training models where the AI is being fed data or input through which it gathers knowledge by reacting and having some sort of feedback loop to reward the best reaction. In their blog, Embark refers to this as virtual dog treats. Embark has spent years training their model for the AI behavior by letting the model learn in an isolated environment the best possible ways to interact with the world around it. Then, all of these learned behaviors have been saved into a model that has a general understanding of its surroundings and has a pretty good idea on how to solve problems and achieve goals. However, this doesn't mean that it is still learning new behavior while the AI is active inside the game world. It simply isn't evolving inside the game, it just has a very intelligent way of solving problems in a complex environment. So, let me take you through the definition of machine learning, and then we can have a look at what Embark has actually written on their blog about their implementation of it. What is machine learning? Machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence, which is broadly defined as the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. Artificial intelligence systems are used to perform complex tasks in a way that is similar to how humans solve problems. I think the key word here is that it is imitating intelligent human behavior. Artificial intelligence doesn't mean that it operates like a human in real time. It means more so that it has a training ground first, where you give the AI some kind of goals and rewards for achieving those goals through trial and error. So the machine learning has some rule sets about the actions that it can take to solve a problem or achieve a goal. And then through trial and error, the machine learns which actions achieve its goals and which actions solve its problems. And then that is rewarded. And through those rewards, the machine knows what type of behavior to apply the next time. If there is a similar goal or a similar problem in a different environment or maybe slightly different angle, it tries to learn how to do that thing again and again and again. And then all of that learned behavior is saved into a model. And then that model is being used in the game. That model that is in the game is not updating itself anymore. The updating and the learning has been done in an isolated environment. Because can you believe what would happen if the machine in Arc Raiders was constantly learning? Do you know what would happen the first day that the game is launched? Everyone would start to come up with behavior that's tricking the AI into doing something that it's not supposed to do. I'm sure there are a lot of players who would be trying to make the AI learn bad behavior that would not apply in normal gameplay. And even if the players would not be able to teach bad behavior to the AI, what would happen is that the AI would become much more better at facing players all the time. The AI would become more deadly and more difficult to play against. So what would happen for a game where the AI is balanced in a certain way that it allows for player interaction and players to feel like you can have success? It would be a totally different type of game if the AI would be learning through hundreds of thousands of player interactions all the time and becoming harder and harder and harder. What happens to a new player who tries to join the game for the first time and he has no idea what's going on? The AI is too hard, he keeps dying all the time, and the AI would be just basically dominating every lobby all the time because the game would be too hard. You cannot let an AI actively update its model of behavior if you want to have a balanced game. So yeah, what I'm trying to say and make sure that people understand is that the model itself has the ability to react and problem solve in a real environment. It has been programming itself to have multiple different actions it can take, and it has a very deep base of knowledge and very deep base of behavior that it can adapt in a real-time environment. But those behaviors might feel like are very alive and might feel like there's a lot of variation. It doesn't mean that the next raid and the next raid and the next raid it's gonna be remembering what happened raid before and the raid before and the raid before. Even if it was gathering input from the game raids, it wouldn't apply those learned behaviors because Embark has to keep it under control somehow. So they might actually take some input from the game's learned, like what it has learned through the game, maybe. And maybe through an update, they might do different types of updates to the model. But I don't think it makes any sense that the models are being updated real time in the game. So no, the machine learning doesn't mean that the machines are learning in the game. It means that a machine learning is a training model that has been used to train the model of behavior that the Ark robots have in the game. Machine learning is one way to use AI. It was defined in the 1950s by AI pioneer Arthur Samuel as the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without explicitly being programmed. So what this means is that the developers of Ark Raiders don't have to spend time programming the AI to do every single action as a reaction to all of the situations that they can imagine the Ark bot being put into. Instead, they can let a computer program run by itself thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of times, programming itself through a system that rewards when it does the correct action through trial and error. So, in a way, the whole point of this system is that the developers don't need to waste time in programming animations or actions for the Ark bots. They are letting the Ark bots train themselves in an isolated environment. They are saving a lot of time that they can spend on doing other things for the game. And that's the point of machine learning. It is not that the machines are learning in the game. They have used machine learning method to program the Ark robots for the game. The output of a machine learning system is a model that can be thought of as an algorithm for future computations. The more data the system is presented with, the more refined the model. The quality of the learned model is also dependent on the quality of the data used to train it. If the data is biased, the output of the model will also be biased. And this is exactly the reason why Embark has to train the model in an isolated environment to achieve the goal that they have in mind for the Ark robots in the game. We have to have an isolated environment to prevent a biased data, because the players who play the game cannot be let to have the hands over training the model of the system. It has to be done in a way that makes sense for the world of the game. If it was a sandbox where players were free to train the model, it would be a different kind of game. It would be a sandbox like Gary's mod or something like that. I'm sure a game like that will be available in the future, but right now the machines are not learning in the game. We cannot let the data be biased to have a good game, to have a game that has a world that makes sense, that is believable, because players online would not be behaving realistically for this world and the arcs in this world to behave in a way that would make sense in the context of the world. So, what is it that Embark actually wrote in their blog about this and how they are implementing this? Transforming animation with machine learning. How we overhauled our animation workflow with machine learning. Teaching physically based AI agents to walk on their own instead of animating movement. Embark Studios has replaced a team of animators with a system that creates its own animations. They don't have to create a program that reacts in a certain way to a certain situation and then applies a certain animation that the team has created for it. Instead, they have created a system that has the freedom of doing whatever the hell it wants. And then, through rewards, it has taught that system to behave in a way that is the most efficient way to achieve its goal. The system will always create the most natural looking animations because it has done all the different types of behavior and then has the freedom to apply its own trial and error and own sort of intelligence into creating the most natural movement that we would see in a real life robot that has been taught using machine learning. That's why it makes so much sense in this world, because we're not trying to use machine learning to create characters that look human-like. We are using machine learning to create robots that look like they have been taught using machine learning. That's why the world feels so alive in Arc Raiders. I hope this video helped you understand the difference between machines that are learning and machine learning. I am open to any questions and I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and thoughts about this issue. I think there is a surprisingly large amount of people who still didn't maybe know this differentiation, because I've been hearing a lot of people comment on Reddit and YouTube about the machines and the Arc robots being learning inside the game, and I hope this makes you realize the difference between machine learning and machines that are learning, because in the game the machines are not learning. So if you have any questions or if you need more resources to understand this, I'm happy to help you out, and you can check the description for all of the links that I used in making this video. I hope you have a really nice day. I think the AI is truly amazing and groundbreaking in this game, but it's not alive yet. Hopefully. See you in the next one.